my soccer universe. My name is Roland and this is Football Talk. And first things first, over the weekend I caught a pretty bad cold, potentially even more. And so I'm doing this really audio only in the shortest version possible. So if you're watching this on YouTube and not listening it only on Spotify, I'm just gonna put my voice a graphic, but no, not the usual information and so on, because honestly, that will be already enough doing for me, and we'll continue with that then next week. If you're listening to this on Spotify, yes, on YouTube, sometimes I post usually also this, and then I augment it with my calculations. You can now see the standings, the results, and projections, and all that kind of stuff. Well, the downside is I'm still not feeling all that great, although it's an upward trend. That's the downside, but the upside is, when you have to lie in bed, yes, you're falling asleep here and there, but you can have a lot of games on and watching while you're sleeping away or whatever, and that's exactly what I did. Honestly, what a weekend it was. Actually, not only a weekend, the entire week has been with sensational results for me. I'm in the way when you talk soccer with me at the moment, I'm just smiling from left ear to right. Of course, my two teams both got wins in pretty big games. I honestly expected at most a point between the two of them. They both got wins. LASK winning at Sturm Graz, although in hindsight, maybe I should have seen that one coming. But Milan winning the Derby, also in hindsight, I should have seen that coming. But I'd rather keep it low. And that's the first point I really want to make. The under-17 Austrian national team is just sensationally tearing it up in Qatar at the under-17 World Cup. They're all the way in the final. When Austria have qualified for the World Cup on that day before, and I'm not sure if I mentioned it on this podcast, I honestly, with all the excitement going around Austria qualifying, I pretty much missed the bigger story. The under-17 team, this was Tuesday a week ago, beat England in the round of 16 4-0. Yes, a red card helped when they were 1-0 up, blah, 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 but 4-0, pretty impressive stuff. Then they beat Japan 1-0, a little bit lucky that one, scoring in the second half again. And this is a hallmark of this Austrian team. They are not only nasty to play against, because they always put a lot of, typically a Red Bull style almost, but not quite. But they're always on the opponent, pressing high up. You don't have any space to get through it. And then in addition, I think their physical fitness is superior to all the other teams, because it's always in the second half that they can find the next level. And that's exactly what I saw here too against Japan. Japan outplayed them in the first half. The goal needed to make a few good saves. And then again, they score early in the second. And then it's easier for them and they see it out. I don't think they have been trailing for the entire tournament. It's amazing. They also only conceded one goal, so defensively they're also quite sound. And then yesterday, almost a similar story in the semi-final. Italy were the dominant side in the first half. Not that they had any chances. I think, in fact, Italy never really shot on goal. No serious attempts at goal. But Austria again score in the second half. A brilliantly played counterattack. Moser, who is now the top goal scorer in the under-17 World Cup, gets the go-ahead goal. And then, they were not threatened anymore. Italy didn't have anything to match them. And then Moser scores another beautiful free kick, and Austria is in the final. This is the first time ever that an Austrian national team, regardless of level, gender, and so on, it's the first time that they play in a FIFA final. This has never happened before. This is absolutely sensational. And huge credit to Coach Stadler. They put a smile on many people's faces. As I said, I was already, when I just look soccer-wise, generally also, but I just look soccer-wise, I already was very much smiling. And this just confirms it. What a result. And then on Thursday, they played the final against Portugal, who beat Brazil on penalties. And I gotta be honest, at this moment, I don't think the world title is beyond them. They have such a team unity, it's impressive. Of course, Portugal is one of the leading youth team nations, so there you go. And I would say let's stay in Austria because, yes, more smiles for me. LASK also get the 5th win in the league in a row. Coach Kuba really working his magic there. So that is the one part, and we'll talk about that. But also the league is incredibly tight. I think we have the top 7 teams within 4 points of each other, which is something that is just unheard of, I would say. Now, you can say this is great because it's exciting. You don't really know who's now the best team or so on. But then on the other side, I mean, if you have the leading team in Red Bull Salzburg at 25 points after 14 games, that points average is really, really bad. And it also tells a story that ahead of this round, and if Sturm Graz win their makeup game against WSG Tirol, and we'll talk about that in a sec, why this might not be such a easy thing, but the top 3 teams all played on Sunday and all 3 lost at home, and at times really embarrassingly so. Really, really crazy stuff. And then there are the 2 teams that are really in great form, and that is Hartberg, who get a 2-0 win at home against Ried. And Hartberg also opened their rebuilt stadium, so that was the first true home game. Actually, it's not quite ready yet, but they have done some good work. I'm happy they could get this done. And suddenly Hartberg were already moving up into 3rd place, also helped by the fact that Wolfsburg lost 3-1 at Altach. Austria Vienna, though, kept level with a very hard fought 3-2 away win at Blau-Weiß Linz. Honestly, Blau-Weiß should have gotten more out of that one. But then it is Sunday where everything really boggled the mind. Salzburg had a 2-0 halftime lead against WSG and managed to lose this one. This is unheard of. Yes, the game in the first half was much more level than the 2-0 scoreline would have suggested. However, Salzburg, I think, have not lost after a 2-0 lead, and WSG Tirol for the first time ever came back to win in the Bundesliga after being 2-0 down. It's also the first away win at Salzburg. So truly amazing stuff. And if you have any chance, watch the goal by Baden Fredriksen that made it 2-1 for Salzburg. It was a goal for WSG Tirol. A really great skill there. And then they even had, when it was 2-2, Taferner for WSG was sent off. Salzburg still managed to give up a counter attack and a really stupid last man foul that then allowed Müller to score the winning goal. But for me, it was all about Sturm against LASK, and it was a game where I didn't expect all that much. And after like 10 minutes, I thought I went in with the right expectation. Sturm were very dominant, had a deserved lead with Kitashvili getting away from Jorgensen and heading it in over the goalie. And he's a real tiny man. It was an artistic header, let's put it that way. And Sturm seemed to be fully in control until in the 15th minute, Adeniran creates a chance, and suddenly LASK were absolutely ruling that game, creating more chances. And then it's Bello who runs from midfield more or less through the entire Sturm defense, cross in, Jorgensen completely forgotten on the other side, and volleys it into net, and just 2 minutes later, Usor, after a long kick out, I guess from Andrade, Adeniran then, with his head already in the opposing half, just puts it in the path of Usor, who then cheekily chips it over the goalie, and it's 2-1 LASK. And at that time, even not that undeserved, because Sturm Graz needed until the last minutes to really get back into the game. There was the more pressure from them in the second half. But first counter-attack results in a throw-in that goes to Adeniran, who runs into the box, squares it over to Danek, who just, deflects off him into the net, even though it was from a bit of a distance. And then it was safe. LASK win at Sturm Graz. The last time LASK won in Graz was also under coach Kübauer. And Kübauer can do Sturm Graz. Sturm Graz have only 4 points made at home. They're the worst home team in the league. So from that point, I guess was not too unexpected. And to top it all off, Rapid, who were proclaiming we're gonna show a new face, lost at home to last place GRK. Yes, the go-ahead penalty was one of the most ridiculous penalty calls that I have seen in recent memory. Maignan converts and then Kara scores a really pretty goal, kind of backheels it in. But also the winning goal for GRK was pretty. Yes, goalie shouldn't come out that much, but the way Harakate lobs it in, absolute gorgeous goal. Everything done very well, and GRK have been on the up and are now a team that is not in last place anymore. That one goes to Blau-Weiß-Linz. The Austrian Bundesliga is just crazy. And so even though LASK is now the informed team in the league, they play against one of the less informed teams in Rapid, who is still in second place behind Salzburg next weekend. And yeah, this is now a game where LASK is suddenly favored. And I'm quite afraid of that. Please indulge me, I'm gonna keep this a little bit more personal, and so we're going now to Italy, and at the end I'm gonna then run through the leagues, while also, I saw some other results as well, but, we'll observe what was happening there. But I want to start in Italy, where for me it was all about the Milan derby, and what a derby it was. Mike Maignan, sensational. Man of the match performance. Or in the third minute, saving a header from Thuram, then deflecting a shot from Lautaro onto the post. Inter hit the woodwork, I think, after a corner as well. Milan were very ultra defensive, and this is the one thing that I have to say. As long as they're winning, that's fine. But this is not Milan, or not the Milan that I'm expecting. Get the wins now, you're solid. I like that you're working as a team. And then in this first half, there were short periods where Milan actually also could create some, at most, half chances, except for a shot by Pulisic that went really wide. Of course, Fofana once again skies it over the net. He shouldn't shoot anymore. There should be a rule that whenever he has the ball, even when he's close to the box, he should square it off to somebody. In any case, Inter were, at least statistically, on the top, but I actually had the feeling that Milan defensively is really, really, really sound. And that continued in the second half. And then it was a much maligned Fofana, who gains the ball in midfield, plays it to Leao. However, Leao is kind of thrown over by, I think, Acerbi, who this rat pulled Leao's hair, and that is something that should have been reviewed. I don't think he necessarily meant to originally do it, but once he had the hair there, he definitely pulled. Acerbi is definitely one of those players that will do that. But yeah, Leao is on the floor, ball goes back to Fofana, plays it out to Salamakers, who takes a shot that is really badly stopped by Sommer, right into the path of Pulisic, who puts it into the net, 1-0 Milan. And then I was thinking, Milan's gonna Allegri now, Inter. And yes, they Allegri'd them. Inter had a really hard time creating chances, and then they got a lifeline. When Thuram is stepped on by Pavlovic after putting a pass that came to nowhere, he stepped on, and it's a penalty. And yes, when I saw the replay, I knew this is going to be a penalty, although I was hoping it was not, because it was actually nothing. Pavlovic, yes, he steps on him, but this was in the attempt to get the ball. It was not the attempt to hit on Thuram. In any case, up steps my least favorite Inter player in Hakan Çalhanoğlu, or the Vermin as I call him. And I loved it how Maignan is standing there and offering him his right side. He's definitely off center. When then the whistle blows, he quickly moves towards the center, but of course Çalhanoğlu puts it there and Maignan saves it. And then even better, on the rebound, he just then goes for the ball and puts it in touch. What great state of mind. Maignan, and I know he's probably leaving Milan, but this was a major performance of his, and I hope they can keep him. I just am afraid that it won't work, but man of the match. This is now Mike Maignan back at his very best, and the last time he was at his very best, Milan became champions. Not yet saying that they will become this time, but I think with no European commitments and a very solid team, that wins the big games, you have the chance. The only thing that speaks against Milan is that you do not win against the small teams. And the championship is usually won by picking up points against the small teams. So this is the one thing that they have to consider. But fortunately enough, Serie A is even enough that there are plenty of big games. But you beat Napoli at home, you beat Roma at home, you got the draw at Juventus, which you should have won because you had a penalty. You beat Bologna at home. Bologna is also already in good form. And now Inter away from home, although you know how ridiculous that is, with them sharing a stadium. But the mass was against Inter, so I was for Inter against them. So there you go. But a really impressive performance by Milan and really tipping off a perfect Sunday for me. As I said, I've been quite smiley. But also the other results were quite notable. I mean, a crazy 3-3 draw between Cagliari and Genoa. I have a feeling that Cagliari, although they might have to battle until the end, but I think they might be safe. And I have a similar feeling for Genoa. Udine, who have not been too bad at this season, losing 3-0 at home to Bologna. Bologna already in 5th place and quite in touch with the top. Then Fiorentina pick up a point against Juventus. However, this was grossly overshadowed by the chance against Vlahovic by the Fiorentina ultras, calling him a gypsy and all that kind of stuff. Juve had the 1-0 lead, and I think there was a penalty that was rightfully given away, although the VAR protocol was not adhered to properly. But then Mataragora gets the fully deserved equalizer for Fiorentina, who are now under Vanoli. And I really hope it's now on the up for Fiorentina. And then Napoli played against a flailing Atalanta team where Palladino has taken over now. But was very, very convincing with David Neres playing or scoring 2 goals. Lang also getting in on the action. Højlund playing great. McTominay again imperious. I mean, what Conte has done with him, he is becoming one of the best players in Serie A. No doubt. Parma got an away win at Hellas Verona. Hellas I'm a little bit worried about, gotta be honest. Roma also a very credible 3-1 away win at Cremonese with Sule. Actually, he should have got more than 1 goal, but also Evan Ferguson got on the score sheet. Lazio 2-0 over Lecce. And then yesterday, Como against Torino. That game was 1-1 at the half. And then Como just hit Torino where it hurts. It's not that Torino were not that badly in the game, but they were so sloppy in defense. And I think the worst for me was the 3rd goal by Como, where they seemingly had it cleared. And I think it was Nico Paz who intercepts and then goes through. Sassuolo Pisa play out a 2-2 draw. So Italy, it also remains quite exciting up top. We have now a top 5, a pretty clear top 5 between Roma 2 ahead of Milan and Napoli at 25. Inter and Bologna at 24, so really, really tight up top. On the bottom, Genoa, Fiorentina, Verona. Yeah, but there's also a Lecce, there's a Pisa in there, which we have to see where the journey will go. For me, another big story this weekend was the opening of the new Camp Nou, or the partial opening. I mean, it's still very much a construction site. And yes, they got 45,000 people in there. And yes, it looks still Camp Nou-ish if you ignore the cranes and so on. And to the left, everything was still empty. This is where I think the hardcore Barca fans used to be, so that looked definitely odd. But, it was great to see Barca back in their own ground. And I can say my brother, who is now living close to Barcelona, was also there. Tickets were not cheap. I think he said 150 euros, but he said he'd rather pays 150 against Athletic Club than in the week 130 against Alaves. I can see the point there. If you're willing to shell out that much money, then it's better. You can see that Barcelona really need every bit of money. And yeah, those tickets, if you ask me, are overpriced. But they got a 4-0 win. And yes, Unai Simon did not shower himself in glory. The first goal in the Nou Camp is, of course, Lewandowski. I think this is all that he wanted, but very convincing. Athletic Club are completely falling off at the moment. Yes, injuries hit, but also Nico Williams looks like a shadow of his former self. It was even sweetened, the deal for Barcelona, that Elche almost beat Real Madrid, having a 2-1 lead late, but then I think Bellingham gets the equalizer. Real Madrid had more chances, but Real Madrid also look a little bit lifeless. And can I just say, there's an Austrian playing for Elche, in David Affengruber, who won the championship 2 seasons ago with Sturm Graz. Was a stalwart for them and now plays in Spain. And I heard he's a central defender and he has the most won balls of any player in La Liga in the opposing half. I mean, how crazy is that? Elche is definitely enriching this league quite a lot. Other results, we had the Valencian derby, Valencia winning against Levante. This is what you would expect from Celta get another win. Real Sociedad, big 3-1 away win at Osasuna. Villarreal also keep it up. Then Oviedo, Rayo. If you watch or if you listen to the Spanish football podcast, you know this is a special match because the two hosts are fans of these two teams, but it ends in a 0-0 draw. Both teams cannot score. I saw that Girona had for a long time a 1-0 lead at Betis. Betis managed the equalizer, and Atletico Madrid to win at Getafe 1-0, and yesterday evening Espanyol 2-1 over Sevilla. Okay, let's go to the new Super League, if you would like, the Premier League. And I don't know what's the most outstanding result, but I honestly have to say it's Liverpool 0, Nottingham Forest 3. As soon as Forest scored the first goal, I think it was Murillo, Liverpool fall apart. I personally didn't see that game, but I was shocked because I thought that this might be Liverpool, did not look that bad until they lost to Manchester City. I mean, beating Real Madrid, beating Villa and so on. But Forest is a side that already last season they could not beat. And Sean Dyche actually has done quite a good job. And it was 1-0 at the half of Forest. And then right after that, they add a second one. Liverpool, as I said, folding like a house of cards. Horrible form for Liverpool. I think maybe if they can get it together second season, there might be a Champions League spot in, but it's not top 4. It's because the Premier League will get spots, but it's not pretty at the moment. That much is for certain. Another surprising result was Newcastle beating City. Harvey Barnes scoring both goals in a really quick goal flurry. I mean, the 3 goals came in close to each other, but on the other side, Newcastle did have the chance already early on, and if Haaland doesn't score, then City will not go very far. And so this allowed Arsenal with a very dominant 4-1 over Spurs. I mean, the goal by Spurs, by Richarlison, was probably the goal of the round. I mean, what a crazy fluke shot. And that was the only 10 minutes where Spurs were more or less in the game. But it was Trossard opening scoring actually quite late, and then Eze making it 2-0 and adding 2 more in the second half. Even could have gone for 4, which is also spicy as he was almost to sign with Spurs before Arsenal swooped in. Well, he showed them that actually he was the correct signing. And yeah, Arsenal still now 6 points on top of the table, and the rest is relatively tight together. Liverpool only in 12th, behind Everton. Everton got a pretty big 1-0 away win at United, being reduced to 10 men. I think because the two players were arguing with each other. As far as I could gather, then Everton scored a goal, and United's winning run is also stopped. So Everton are now level on points with Spurs, United, and Liverpool, and ahead of Liverpool. So that's pretty remarkable stuff as well. Leeds move into the bottom 3 thanks to a 2-1 home loss to Villa, so that will also get tight. Palace, though, 2-0 away win at Wolves, a Wolves team that is definitely the worst in the league. That's the one team on top. Arsenal is far away, and then Wolves is even further away from the remaining packs. So Wolves go down, but Palace get that win and are sitting in a super impressive 5th place. Ole Glasner, I cannot repeat it often enough, former LASK coach, the one who got LASK back promoted and is kind of the core of the resurgence. He does an amazing job, and I think after this season he should be looked at by top clubs in, let's say in Europe, but probably in England. I think he can do amazing stuff for anyone. But yeah, that's more or less what I want to say about the Premier League. Let's move over to another, run through European results. And I'm basically looking at the results and telling you how I see. I mean, I have looked. I mean, in the Eredivisie, it's all going for PSV. They get a 1-0 away win at NAC Breda, and then Ajax lose 2-1 at home to Excelsior, and then on Sunday Feyenoord 2-4 at home to Nijmegen. And also the other top teams not really showering themselves in glory. I mean, Twente 1-1 against Volendam. I know these are secondary top teams. The cup winners Go Ahead Eagles lose 4-2 at Heracles. AZ 3-1 at Heerenveen. Telstar manager 1-1 against Utrecht. I mean, the only real top team, well, one in European contention, that won is PSV. I see Groningen in 7th place, and I've not mentioned them. They also managed only 2-2 against Zwolle. So the Eredivisie is also more or less pre-decided. PSV having now a 6-point lead over Feyenoord. It's all going swimmingly for them. Now they have to play Liverpool, so let's see if that one continues. It's Feyenoord, AZ, then Nijmegen is now ahead of Utrecht and Ajax, only in 6th place. Groningen and Twente round out the top 8 who would go into Europe. Heerenveen kind of sneaking in there. I actually did see a little bit of the German Bundesliga, but that was one of those matches where I was just more or less sleeping. Freiburg had a 2-0 lead in Munich. However, Bayern comeback win 6-2. Bayern Munich are in a league of their own as well, and I'm really looking forward to the meeting with Arsenal, although it's basically a glorified friendly. If you're honest, it has no bearing whatsoever of who will win the Champions League, but it's nice to probably see the currently best two teams in Europe match each other, and I still think that Arsenal should be considered the huge favorites there. Dortmund thought they had won it against Stuttgart. I want to say they had a 2-0 lead that Stuttgart then equalized, and Dortmund took the lead very late again, only for Stuttgart to equalize with Dennis Undorf. Also impressive Gladbach, who had been horrid this season, getting another win, 3-0 away win at Heidenheim. We had Leverkusen winning 3-1 in Wolfsburg. Augsburg a strike late against HSV. Those were the games that I kind of followed. Other remarkable results, Köln 3, Frankfurt 4, although Frankfurt had a 4-1 lead. So yeah, moving up there, looking just at the standings with you guys. Bayern clear up top, followed by Leipzig against the team that they beat in the first game of the season, 6-0. Leverkusen now ahead of Dortmund. Stuttgart also 5th place, so 22 points. And Frankfurt then on 20 together with Hoffenheim. Hoffenheim actually much further ahead than I would have expected them. I gotta be honest with that. On the bottom, St. Pauli, Mainz and Heidenheim. I really fear that Heidenheim, their great story is over. I just think that they will stick with their coach and they will continue to be challenged also in the second Bundesliga. But the Bundesliga is probably a little bit too big for a smallish club like Heidenheim. In Portugal, we had a cup round. I mean, the top teams all advanced. When Benfica won 2-0 at third tier Atletico, we had Vitória 4-0 over Mortágua, fourth tier. Porto against fourth tier Sintrense, 3-0 at home. Santa Clara, who have always been in Europe this season, against Comércio e Indústria. And I have to say, I have when I look at lower league teams, and I usually do this when I compile these cup rounds, what is happening in France and in Portugal, there are some real fun names and fun logos in there. I always enjoy that one. To a degree, also in Spain, it's these three leagues where I think it's the most fun to look at teams that you wouldn't hear otherwise. But yeah, Comércio e Indústria, I think, is really cool. Another one is Rabo Epeche with the fish that the head is cut off. Really cool stuff in a way. Braga win 4-2 against Nacional and Sporting 3-0 against Marinense. I don't think they've made the draw yet, so I'll inform you when this is known. From what I can see, there was only one major upset when 30th Fafe beat Arouca 2-1 at home. I guess this counts as an upset. Let's go over to France. After Bayern Munich, who is the highest scoring team in Europe? It's OM. Free scoring under De Zerbi, 5-1 away win at Nice. That's quite a fierce derby, so quite a big result for OM, who now sit also in second spot, touching distance to PSG, only 2 points behind. PSG themselves get a rather unfast 3-0 home win over Le Havre. All the injuries, blah, 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 but I still think that Ligue is well within their reach. The shocker for me is Monaco losing another time, and big again, 4-1 at Stade Rennais. They lost at home against Lens already. Monaco is just an absolute shit show. at this point in time. And, they even got rid of Austrian coach Adi Hütter, and since then they're taking even a further plunge. Only in 8th in the table. Stade Rennes is already in 6th place. We have to look. Lens beat Strasbourg. That was probably the top game. 1-0. So Lens is also moving up. Lyon only a 0-0 at Auxerre. And Lille a 4-2 over Paris FC. And also Brest sitting now towards the bottom of the table by 3-2 over Metz. A Metz team that is relegation threatened. So I really hope that Brest will stay in, especially also for my colleague, who is from Brest. So looking at the top of the standings, PSG 30, then OM and Lens with 28. And then there's already cut Lille, Strasbourg, Rennes, Lyon, and Monaco is 23, 22, 21, 21, 20. And those are the top teams. I don't think that Nice will get in there. Okay, this concludes now this week's episode. And yes, as I said, it will only be bare bones if you're watching this on YouTube. I hope you did enjoy this one. I'm gonna now try to take a short rest before I edit it, but I hope I get it out well before the Champions League. Yes, we have Champions League coming up. As I said, Arsenal-Bayern is for me the top game there. I actually also look forward, thanks to being in bed. Yeah, it's easier to watch Champions League because I can sleep in the next morning as well. So I fully admit to that. But best thing is to just get better and feel better, and I'm slowly getting there. In any case, please let me know if you share my giddiness. It's really crazy. At the moment, these last 2 weeks have been, not only last 2 weeks, have been with really positive results. I mean, I usually go very blah, 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 because, LASK have not been great last season. Milan have been not great. Austria also were a little bit falling off, but now qualified for the World Cup. It all looks really great for my teams, and this makes me really, really happy. And yeah, I'm happy. Let me know how you feel and how have your teams been doing this weekend. I will also love to hear about that. And yeah, I'll talk to you soon. I will probably record either, let's say Friday. I want to get the Under-17 World Cup final in. I also want to talk a little bit more Europa League and Conference League. But that will probably be towards the evening, I would say. And it might also be a relatively simple version again. Because, let's see how it will go. Any case, give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed this episode. Please tell somebody else that this podcast exists so we can grow the community. And one thing's for certain, I'll talk to you soon about more things in my soccer universe. Bye!